Hello YouTube friends, welcome to the Red Parrot channel. I am your host, Mary Ellen. This is an episode of Craft With Me where I am working on my random number generated RNG journal where the subject matter is coffee. So when we last left our heroine, she was in the process of sewing these, which are the fabric snippet rolls. And you'll notice this one is quite short. It's because I've already started using it. And I realized that I don't know how this became this, but I am doing most of this journal make on camera, which I think is okay. Anyway, so I was working along and I thought, oh, wait a minute, I should bring all of y'all along with me. So this is the sewn snippet roll. Learned a lot about this very upsetting fiber, and I realized that one of the things that I should have done was pair it with a like a proper thread fiber that gives this a little bit more capacity to be able to be manipulated. So lesson learned there. What else? Oh yes, so I do weaving, and when you do hand weaving at the beginning and end, once you take your woven piece out, you have threads left over that are attached to the loom. And those threads are called thrums, T-H-R-U-M-S. And I have, this is tassel cut off, and this is my batch of thrums from my last project. And it is perfect colorway for this, and so I forgot to put some of this thread on there. So I have it out so that we can maybe use it for ties at the top, or if we have to make another one of these, I will have them available to me. So bits and pieces available. Did I learn anything else? I learned that moving this around when you have all of these threads pre-placed, not so easy to do because they all fall off and they move. I think that's kind of all. And so I have been using these, and I have been using these to do, where'd I put it? Ah, here. Put these aside. To do clusters, fabric clusters. So I have 2 cups of coffee, and I have 2 paper cups of coffee. So I've got those. Did I learn anything from there? So here you can see I've added the thrums, and it just gives a little bit more depth and interest. So I've got 4 of those, woo. And what I could do with those is either use them as, you know, sew 2 sides, and then, of course, I have no cards available at the moment because we haven't got to that point. Well, let's use this. So you could use a tuck in there. You can also use it for a, what do we call them? A hidden paper clip. That's what I did with the other journal. I kind of like the way that turned out. And then just general decoration. I haven't done the cover of the journal yet, or do any of the journal, because I think I'm going to do some of this before I attack that, but this could certainly be part of a cover topper. I think that's what you call them, toppers. And I really don't like this fiber, though it is pretty. It is shedding, and it is shedding something that is very close to the texture and size of glitter, and I do not like glitter at all because you can never get rid of it. So a lot of lessons learned. So that's that. And what I want to do now is I want to create the bases. I'm going to get rid of this. Create the bases for ultra paper clips. I knew the words would come to me. yellow, a yellow and a green, a yellow and a green, and then 2 silvers, sure. There we are. Oh, these seem to be a little bit off. And so, what do I want to do? How do I want to do this? So I need to do some measuring and some cutting first, because I think I have a method now for making these that works very well for me. So I think I want 2-inch strips. So sort of like a 2 by 2 or a 2 1/4 by a 2 1/4. So what I want to do essentially is do that and then glue it like that. But obviously not that large. I need to cut some of this down. So why don't we do that? It's very exciting. I have a new blade in my knife, and so this should cut fairly well. Wow. You never know how dull the knife becomes until you get a fresh blade in. There. That one isn't quite under the right edge. Oops. Oops. There we are. Now then, what do I want to do? What did I say I wanted? I need to write something down. I need a piece of paper. And I emptied my bin, so I don't even have scrap paper in there. Let's take a bit of a glue page. Hopefully there's a spot. So there is. So what did I say? 2 1/4. 2 1/4 is 4 1/2 by, you can say, 2 1/4. Okay, now I can think. Two and a quarter. There we are. Let's do it this way. Oh, stars, make a cut. There we are. What did I say? 4 1/2. 1, 2, 3, 4 1/2. With any luck, this is also 4 1/2. It isn't, and golly golly, that isn't on the straight. Here we are, so that's 2, and I wanted to do 4. 2 1/4, yep. And then 4 1/2. 1, 2, 3, 4 and half. One, 2, 3, 4 and half, yes. Here. There we are. Okay, so that part's done. Just gonna line my glue on the side here to get it a little bit poured in. Oops. 2, 3, and 4. So then it goes like that. There's one. Okay, so I have some skeleton paper clips because I don't think, and I should probably just have a jar of these. I need jars. Keep things corralled into a reasonable spot. Okay, now I'm just gonna move that over just a hair. So what I want to be able to do is trap the paper clip, but this is not going to be immediately fixed, or immediately glued glue, if you know what I mean. It's not it's a good glue, but it takes a while to get its stick on. There. And then I want to get, can I get there? Not really. But that's okay. At least then it's not going to be popping up. Huh? Okay. Only slightly more entertaining than watching paint dry is watching glue dry. Oh, I have a nice 2-bagger of tea this morning. Usually I just have orange pekoe, and today we've just loaded it up with another bag of Earl Grey, so it's very fragrant and quite lovely tea this morning. Okay, let's see how this green one works. I'm roughly trying to hit the middle. And up there. I can see out in the back 40. What can I see? I can see purple crocus that has 2 of them that have come up that are blooming. Should take a picture of that just because. There's a couple of people way off in the distance having a run. There is daffodils coming up. I've filled the bird feeders this morning, but the birds haven't figured out that it's full yet, so that'll be probably an afternoon festivities, I guess, for the birds. There's a dog running. There's probably going to be a human show up shortly that's connected to the dog. Now there's the sight of a Canadian. There's somebody walking who has got a Tim's coffee. He's got his hood up, almost over his eyes. It's like he's just woken up, and he's got a cup of Tim's in his hand. That's Canadiana for you. It's nice to be able to see the roadway, or it's not really a roadway, it's more of a, it's a footpath. And there's usually always people crossing, or people doing something, or people and their animals doing something, or just animals doing something. There we are. What I'm doing is sort of scooshing. The paper clip is here. I don't know if you can see the bend in the paper, but I'm just sort of pressing the two sheets of paper together. If this was narrower, oh yeah. Huh, so I measured that wrong. Well, there's your problem. Don't follow me. I am also lost. Good heavens. So I overmeasured. This is actually 2 inches, not the 2 1/4. And so I was trying to get this to the bottom, and I've also lifted it, and it's a little bit too wide. It'll be fine. We'll be able to trim it off. Oh dear. What else can I see? I can see oriental poppies starting to sprout. I can see lilies starting to sprout. I can see tulips sprouting. There is probably garlic, or at least garlic chive coming up. And what else is out there? Okay, so let's just, should I trim it down just for grins? Just to prove that I can do it well. So there, oops. There's that. Yeah, it can be 2 inches and it's fine. Oops. There, that's easier. There. That's what that's what I wanted to do in the first place. I didn't need the 2 1/4. I needed 2 by 2 squares. That's what I needed. And part of my brain is saying, you should write that down because you're going to forget. Or every time you do this, you're going to have to figure it out. Here we are. Can that fit? Fit right in. There we are, and then right in there. So these are my clips. And then, technically speaking, I can then just glue that on, and then I would have a altered paper clip. But I'll keep these unglued for now until I get going in the journal. Or I'm just creating bits. And I think that might be thinking about sort of the mass making. Blanks and bases, I think, are the things that would be well suited for me to mass make. So a bunch of these that are literally just the base, so that when I get to the journal that I am making, I have a bunch of these made, not the cluster made, but this part, because this is probably going to be customized every single time I do a journal, because I find this to be the fun bit. And you have whatever fun bits are yours. And so you can do you. It's one of my favorite expressions of Tim Holtz is you do you. That is so important in art. If you don't like it, you don't do it. And if you like it, you can do it. As long as it's not a crime or harms anybody. Or anything. Okay. So I think they're pretty well done. So I've got 4. I might only use 2 and then have 2 spare for next time, which is pretty exciting. So put those away. We've got some time. What else can we do in terms of prep? What can we do? Well, let's discuss the journal cover, because I think this is worth discussing. So when I originally threw the dice, I said even was a soft cover and odd was a hard cover. I had the number 1 against the soft, and I had 2 against the hard, and I rolled the number 2, and my brain made the match of rolling the dice for 2 and hardcover being number 2. Michelle, thank you very much for pointing it out. I super appreciate being that being brought to my attention, because it is really, really helpful. It helps me in my brain management, and it also helps me be transparent and honest about this random number generated process. So before I knew that an error had been made, I pulled this book, which is Bella Tuscany, and I gutted it, and I did all kinds of exciting things to it. And I prepared myself kind of emotionally to be able to do a hardcover. I don't usually do hardcovers, and I don't usually do 2 signatures, and so there was a lot to brain manage. Now, I theoretically could put this aside and say, you know what, I need to be honest to the dice and use a soft cover, but I am not going to do that, because I believe that you would allow me the indulgence of making a mistake and then just sticking with the mistake because no crime has been committed. We are not going to be audited. This does not get to be submitted to the junk journal authorities, the Commission of Junk Journaling Worldwide, to be evaluated. And we'll learn from it and know for next time. And plus, switching is just going to burn my brain out. And I don't think you would support me in doing that. So we are going to stick with the hardcover, I think. And having said that, I now have a hardcover to decorate. So it's got this bee that I'm okay with that. I don't really care one way or the other. I really do like the colors. I think the colors are very, if you sort of put that down, that matches very, very well. So I was thinking about putting, something like that against it. I was thinking of maybe wrapping this in burlap, but I don't have burlap. And burlap is it's a coarse material, and it's not very pleasant to have in your hands. So I've rejected that. This is me trying to see if I can create something that is burlap-y. I might, if I can get it out. This is just a regular piece of cardboard. I might do a cardboard topper that's maybe got this sort of down this way, and so I have a patch of cardboard, and I think that's really where I'm leaning at the moment. And then maybe down the side, I might be able to, don't know that this is long enough, but I have a massive amount of this fabric, so it's not to worry. I might put that down. I might put something else down the spine to cover that, or I might just, I haven't figured out how to put the spine in, whether or not it's going to be a hidden spine or a spine, like a through this spine. Maybe through this, if I did that, that might be a little bit, would help cover this, and I wouldn't have to worry about all of this nonsense. And there is also pieces of paper that I could use, maybe just to go down as a strip. So got some options there. But I just wanted to be transparent and clear about, wait a minute, if you were in the sharp-eyed team of Michelle, and again, I am super appreciative of you pointing that out, because it is important for me to know. I just wanted to make sure that you knew that I knew, and that we had had a conversation about how we're going to resolve it. And so that's where we are with that. I could do something like that. I could do something like that, or just not at all. I don't know. Might be something. I could probably do at least the size, and I don't even know how big it is. Should I have the topper that goes in? I'm inclined to just have something that's like that big, just like a space here that's not touching the cover, and that would probably be to maybe to the end of the B, maybe to there. Well, let's cut that off now, just so we've got a piece of cardboard to work with, and then I'll get my I was going to say my thinking brain, my quiet brain, to consider what we might want to do with that. I think one of the feelings that I want to have from this journal, because it is this sort of dark coffee tone, I think I want to have a sense of the process of making coffee as well as just coffee. So having pictures of maybe the plants. Chicory is another kind of like a coffee substitute. I might see if I can find some information on where most of the coffee in the world is produced. I think Brazil is going to be one of them, and maybe have a map of Brazil. And that kind of a feeling, as well as just the coffee. I'm hoping that there might be some other pieces that I can use. So this burlap might fit well. I think I've got my thready thread here. That's why I used this sort of stenciling idea. I think this, to me, feels very coffee sack-y. And so that's sort of how that sort of showed up. But even something like that, that might be a little better. I just want to get rid of the red thread. I don't think that doesn't do anything for us, I don't think. Something like that, or yeah. I've got more of this material, and I've got a better thread, matching thread. So if I were to do something like that, I could sort of hide it. So that's sort of where we're at in terms of the cover. I realized that I can't do my idea with the shaker card, and so I'm back to square one, just doing a straight card. We're gonna have to measure the size of the card before we do all the cutting and the gluing and everything. My thought, and again I need a piece of paper to be able to draw. Is there anything that's sort of blankish? Not really. So what I had thought was I have a picture of a coffee pot that is very linear. It's like this. And I thought it would be really fun to have the shaker card and then be able to pour out the bits into the rest of the card and then put a line down here so that the bits could flow, that they could come out here and go all the way around and then come back to the top. And I realized that tipping this isn't just that kind of a pour. It needs to pour up and down. So it either needs to be, we need to have further workshops on it. And maybe that's what we should do, because now as I'm talking about it and writing it out, I'm just sad to abandon it. It would be really fun. So maybe that's one of the projects, as well as, what was the other thinking I had to do? I had to think about the cover, think about this, and then what else do we need to do? I think we can probably start to look at pulling paper and seeing what's available, because I think I've got enough bits and pieces now to be able to go ahead and start making the sort of meat and potatoes of the journal. Now that I've got this, oh, I know the other thing that we need to make. So we need this cover and beads. So if I do I think you call it a naked spine, where you stitch on the front. If I do a naked spine, I want to be able to use fabric beads and maybe use some of this to do some of wrapping around the bead. Do I have any examples kicking around? Not really, but this is what I'm thinking. So there's that, and this, so I wrap fabric around a skewer, blah, 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 just like this, and then I glue it, and then you have a nice bead, and then once it's dry, you can then use this to do some funky wrapping. I would be able to use some of this as well, get rid of some of this, and then you have a, technically speaking, a customized set of beads for the journal in whatever colorways and so forth that you want. So that's, I think, the plan. I will check in when I have made some progress. It should be in the next couple of days or so. In the meantime, thank you so much, as always, for watching, for liking, subscribing, and commenting. Really, really appreciate it. Your company means the world to me, and I mean that sincerely. I love having somebody to talk to. Anyway, that's all for now. We will see you soon. Thanks so much. Bye now.